We are live. Good afternoon, evening, good day, all. America, the state of Maine, planet Earth. I am Dana, the Anglo Citizen, coming to you today on Friday evening at 7 o'clock p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And I am very pleased to be hosting some amazing guests that are making great strides here in Maine to demand accountability and transparency from our elected servants in Maine, most of whom are forsaking their oaths and not obeying the constraint they have to honor the wishes of we, the people of Maine. And a lot of us in Maine are very unhappy with what's going on in our elected servant house in Augusta. And some of us are taking action. And these people, among these people, are my amazing and beloved friends from the organization known as Respect Maine, my friend Michelle Tucker, and my newly made friend William Clardy from this organization, Respect Maine. And they are implementing lawful solutions to oppose the unconstitutional conduct of our elected servants in Maine, including and especially our so-called governor, Janet Mills, whom I have opposed very vehemently and actively since day one because of her unconstitutional and unlawful actions in Maine, and am right to do so. And her actions recently, along with our so-called elected servants in our capital of Augusta, have defied the will of we the people and our Constitution, and we the people of Maine and of the United States would like to implement lawful remedies and solutions, and we are united in that purpose. And here in Maine, Michelle and William are actively pursuing that. And their website here you see on the screen, Respect Maine. They are suing our Senate President, Troy Jackson, Speaker Talbot Ross, and our governor, who is a criminal, in my opinion. I'm naked about this. I stand by it. She is a criminal. She has defied her oath. She has issued unconstitutional actions against we, the people of Maine, unconstitutional mandates and proclamations and executive orders. And they are suing her, as well they should. And we should all be backing this play because she has defiled her oath. So I am incredibly happy and thrilled to have you both here and be talking about this, because I am behind you 1,000%, as you know, and I believe most of the people of Maine probably are. So thank you for coming here, and tell us about, how you got into this and what motivated you to partner up and get on that train you're on, which I support 1,000%. Michelle.
Well, thank you for having us. Excuse me. I was never active in politics before COVID, and I met William through a political organization that we volunteered for, and I was his driver. He was a candidate in Augusta, and became friendly, understood that we have a lot of common interests, and he said to me one day when I was at the State House to testify for a vaccine bill, "Do you know what the governor is about to do?" "No, I don't." "Tell me more." So he saw what was going on, and I'll let him talk a little bit about that.
Good fun.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah.
Well said.
Basically, this wasn't very recent. This was all the way back last May, or last year in March.
Yes.
The end of March. I don't know how many of your listeners or watchers, not sure which verb, replies on this.
Yes, both. Go
yeah.
ahead.
Anyway,
Participants.
but the whole budget debacle in the spring of last year, when the standard budget negotiations were going on, and then all of a sudden one party started talking about how they were afraid that, you know, the other party, the minority, the Republicans, would try to shut down the government. And so they came up with this wonderful idea to just pass a simple majority budget so that the Republicans could not shut down the government like the Republicans were not actually planning to do, because they were trying to work out deals with the Democrats. And the problem with that is that the way they were going about doing it, they needed to shut down the legislature 90 days ahead of the end of the fiscal year, or the Democrats would have shut down the government. So end of March, late at night, they pass their budget. They start rolling on their plan to adjourn the legislature, knowing that they needed to come back the next week unless they wanted to give up all the rest of their agenda.
Yes.
What a lot of people didn't know at that time was that same day, earlier in the day, the staff or representatives of the governor and speaker and Senate president staff were communicating, working out the wording of a proclamation that the governor was ready to issue.
Yep. The emergency. The emergency that they were planning for.
Technically, it's not, the Constitution doesn't call for an emergency, just an extraordinary occasion.
But I'm saying their language was they were planning way in advance for the emergency that would suddenly unleash, oh my goodness, there's an emergency. Look, we happen to have these documents carefully prepared.
Emergency that they helped to create.
Yes.
Exactly.
Yes.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, and the funny thing is, so there's a lot of funny things. The legislature has the right. So part of this case is about separation between the two branches. So the legislature has the right to adjourn themselves and call themselves back under a 1970 amendment to the Maine Constitution. So the night in question that we're talking about, the Democrats did not want to play pool. They passed the budget along the simple majority lines, which meant that they had to adjourn right away. But they were polled. Do you want to come back on April 5th, 2023, to finish the rest of the legislative session that we were not able to complete? And they said no.
Right.
They said no. But yet, less than 12 hours later, Governor Mills issues this extraordinary occasion proclamation that was pre-drafted in advance of. So she purposefully
they planned this in advance. They planned this in advance. This was sleazy, nefarious, excuse my French, bullshit shenanigans from our elected servants, and they need to be held accountable. This makes my blood boil. It's bullshit.
Do you want to go to our website? We can show you the email.
Absolutely.
Okay. I'm going to direct into where it is.
Okay, if you scroll all the way to the bottom of this page, this is a timeline of course, the cases, filings, and whatnot go up a little bit there. And pre-adjournment collaboration. There's a link there right down at the bottom of that little dialog box, and click that. And this is something that we obtained not through legal discovery, but through a freedom of access request that we submitted to the legislature for all the communications between the governor and the presiding officers and their staff.
Well played.
We didn't have this information when we first filed the lawsuit. We were sort of, told by various legislators of this is what was happening, but we didn't actually get the proof until after, actually after our first hearing, right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
actually, after we had already gone through all the hearings for their motion to dismiss. But
Nice.
just like an email trail, if you scroll
Start
down
at
to
the
the bottom
bottom. Yeah.
and read and scroll up, you can see who's who on the signature lines, and also look at the timestamps. And March 30th,
Right.
yeah,
2023.
we're
Yep.
starting that afternoon, a good 9 hours before the infamous adjournment sine die. And they're already talking to the governor, wanting to read what the proclamation is going to say. Up somewhere in there, one of the legislative staff, asks them to add some language to the proclamation about, including just regular business of the legislature.
Right.
So, since legally the staff is part of the offices of these folks, this is their staff collaborating.
Yep. Yeah,
To-
it's our staff. We, the people of Maine, own these people. They work for us. They work for us.
Constitutionally, legally, that's the idea.
Mm.
Who they're taking their commands from, that's where we've got some issues.
Exactly.
Well said.
Yeah.
So
Just to kind of go on with the story a little bit. So they passed the budget. The budget was legally passed. The legislature does pass budgets, adjourn, sine die. Basically, they're saying, well, we're passing the budget. That's the most important thing. And our session is done. Our work is done. This happens all the time. So the
Right.
budget is actually not subject to review. That is legal. But then the legislature came back on April 5th. One of the representatives that has signed on to this, he's been instrumental, Representative Greenwood and Representative Shelley Rudnicki, and there's a couple other legislators who are supremely supportive, Representative Jim White, Representative Reagan Paul. So am I missing anybody? I don't think so.
I'm gonna
there's been a few others
along the way that have helped, but
I'm gonna interject here and say that this is the critical aspect of everything we're talking about. All these people that step forth and do their jobs and stand by the Constitution deserve our love and support all day. Everyone you just mentioned, Michelle.
absolutely. So Representative Greenwood, he stood on the House floor that night and he questioned what was going on. And do you want to talk a little bit more about what he said?
He did raise the question to the speaker of, is there work done? Can he questioned as best you can in the free-for-all that is discussion on the floor of the House.
Right.
Is this the right thing to do? And the speaker kind of shushed him and asserted that, not only is it proper for the legislature for the legislature to adjourn whenever it decides to, but her exact words were that the legislature can adjourn as it sees fit, which is legitimate. And then Attorney General Janet Mills even wrote an opinion at one point back about, what was it, 9 years ago?
Yeah. Like that. Yep.
When there was another governor, raising issues about legislative adjournment.
Right.
That, the legislature decides when the legislature adjourns. It's
Right.
a very formal occasion. They nominate and select committees of legislators to go strutting down the hall and, inform the other house that we're ready to quit. Are you ready to quit? And they exchange messages and then they go and tell the governor that they're getting ready to quit. And it's a very formal thing.
Right.
With a lot, and it's formal because it's got legal impact.
Right.
Because that moment when they adjourn starts the clock ticking on all the laws that they passed. And 90 days later, all those laws, including the budget, if it's just a regular law like this one was, that's when they take effect.
Right.
So I do want to just do one quick interjection. So this budget, I had a Democratic legislator tell me that that they had to do the budget this way. Otherwise, Republicans were going to shut down the government. Well,
Right.
first of all, the Republicans are not in the majority at this time. I have hope for November. But secondly, the Republicans were actually asking for tax breaks and different bills that would help our more economically vulnerable citizens. And the Democrats absolutely did not want to play fair, did not want to entertain those things. And so that is why they decided to pass this majority budget on with their simple majority. And just they showed utter disregard for working with their counterparts.
Yes.
It was sort of a preview of the stance they took with
Right.
The minority party throughout the whole special session and actually the rest of the
Rest of the legislative
131st
session.
legislature.
So
Yeah.
then, all of this happens. The legislature gets called back in. Representative Greenwood actually challenged the governor and asked her, please define what the extraordinary occasion is. And to date, she has
Well
not
said.
answered that.
Well said. Well
Yep.
asked. Well asked. Well
Yep.
said. Where the hell is she? And I'm not a fan of Janet Mills. I'm very, very, very much on record of this. I've challenged everything she has said and done, every claim of authority she has made, every lockdown. Show me your authority to issue a lockdown. Show me your authority to tell people to close their businesses. Show me how you even won your office, because I challenge all of it. And in this, especially in what you two are delving into here, she is highly suspect, and I believe has defiled her oath, perjured her oath, as have many of the people in our elected offices, our elected servants. And more than ever, we need to stand by those that adhere to their oath and loudly support them and endorse them and say that we, the people, stand with them. Because if we do, then we can see progress on these critical issues, including your effort to hold accountable all those people that claim authority and claim that our elections were fairly made. And we need to hold them accountable, and we need to make sure that the truth is known. And I support you, and I hope that as many people as possible can support you and throw in a few bucks if you have it. If you're struggling to put food on the table, as many of us are, then okay, so be it. Don't. But if you have a few bucks, 5, 10, 15, 20, 1,000, whatever, throw it in and help these people in their effort. And along those lines, how best can we, the people of Maine, support you in your effort and give you the best chance of success?
Well, at the stage we're at right now, everything is hinging on what's going on behind closed doors at the Supreme Judicial Court down in Portland,
Right.
where they've heard our case. They've heard our arguments for why we have standing. Well, they've read our arguments, we hope.
Well, let me just interject there so people understand this. So the crux of our case is hinging on the idea that the governor can do what she wants, when she wants, how she wants to do it. So
That's the government side.
that's the right.
Or that's the attorney general's interpretation.
No.
Interpretation. So, but the interesting thing is that there's only one attorney for the governor, speaker of the House, and Senate president. We didn't sue the governor as the first person. We sued the speaker, the Senate president, as the first person. So what they're saying is that we don't have the right. So standing would be that we don't have the right to sue, and we feel that we do. We feel that as citizens, we do have the right to challenge the government when they're not honoring the rules.
We do.
So that's one of the things that is before the Maine Supreme Court right now. So I just kind of wanted to break that down. And
I was going to say, actually, to kind of follow up on you got about halfway there with the bit about one attorney for all the officers. Normally in separation of powers cases, it's just like criminal defense cases. And
Right.
in these filings, the presiding officers and the governor are described as defendants.
Okay.
But in separation of powers cases, or any case where the defendants have potential conflicts of interest, it's pretty normal to have separate lawyers.
Right.
But the Attorney
Right.
General, officially the greatest lawyer in the state of Maine, in his assessment, the presiding officers and the governor are defendants whose interests are all in common, which I may find myself actually agreeing with his assessment on that, since our primary accusation is that they were illegally collaborating.
Yes.
So he sort of confirmed that with, yes, we're defending all of them together because
Right.
they're all one power.
Right.
Right.
But
in terms of, what people can do to help, one of the things that we're doing in this sort of limbo stage of waiting for the Maine Judicial Court to make a decision is we're just trying to get the word out there. One of the things is that as I've been traveling through the state, there are so many people that don't know what our government is doing. They don't know about some of the heinous laws that were passed through that special session.
Yes.
They think, oh, that can't happen here.
Yes.
Wrong. It has already happened here.
It is
we want-
happening.
Yeah,
Yes.
we want people to be aware. And yes, financial assistance would always be greatly supported. There is a donate link. For some reason, our lawyer likes to eat. We can't understand why, but he does. So that would be appreciated if possible. But really, we really want to raise awareness, and we want people to get involved in the government and get involved in this election
Yes.
cycle. If you can make calls, drive a candidate, get the bad actors out of office. That's our best chance for success going forward, is to replace all the people that would break all the laws.
Yes.
yeah,
Well said.
yeah, this case will only, it can only push back things for a little bit, but unless there are changes long-term in terms of who's in office, it's a delaying action rather than a reversal.
Right.
But one other thing.
Go ahead. No, please go.
Yeah, one of the things that outside of the formal legal system, we are counting on the judges to actually read the law fairly and honestly and issue honest opinions. Our trial court justice, during our hearing there, she was very fair. She ripped into both sides with about equal accuracy and punched holes in everybody's argument very fairly, in our opinion.
Yeah.
And we want to, while we hope and believe that the state Supreme Court justices will do the same, it doesn't hurt for them to be aware that people are looking, because one thing, that is sort of an assumption on our part is we're trying to paint them into a corner where whatever decision they come to is honest enough and judicial enough that they're going to know that their names are associated with it.
Yes.
So they can't just do a quickie, these people are just, they have no right to do this, and we're going to shuffle them off to the side. They feel a pressure to actually think about this, make sure that they explain whatever decision.
Yes.
Justify it.
They have to be accountable.
Yes.
They must be accountable.
In this case, we're counting on them being accountable to their own sense of pride and worth, and that, whatever decision they write, they don't want to be the next Milton, I want to say Fillmore, but, they don't want to write a decision that will come back and have them ridiculed.
Right. Exactly.
Generations
They need to be held accountable. They need to be accountable, and we the people need to hold them accountable. That's the thing that we're missing mostly. So if we the people have the power, which we do, and we don't use it, then shame on us. We can hold them all accountable. the truth bears scrutiny. The truth is the sword of God. So when like you guys are doing exactly what needs to be done, which is to hold them loudly accountable, present them with the truth, and challenge them to either refute it or admit that it's true and that you've transgressed and that we will hold you accountable. So I have shown the website here to those of you who want to go here. I would encourage you to do so. To everyone in Maine, we should get behind these people, because why would we not? I don't understand why we would not say that we want to hold our elected servants accountable, and the people that you are challenging, that Troy Jackson and Janet Mills need to be challenged. The facts are with us and in evidence, and that we should all be demanding explanation and accountability from these people and supporting your cause. So I encourage everyone that views me to do so. I love this state with all my heart, and I want to be living in a secure constitutional republic, and I believe most people do. I know you do, Michelle. I'm honored to know you, and I'm honored to know you, William, and thank you for joining me here. And everything you've said is factual and lawful and constitutional, and the truth demands scrutiny. The truth bears scrutiny. And here in Maine, I am deeply hopeful that we will achieve lawful solutions. I feel it coming. I really do. People seem to be coming together. We seem to be unifying, and we seem to be demanding accountability from our government. And I think that Janet Mills has some accountability to be addressed upon her soon.
Actually,
you feel me there, William? I see you want to comment. Go ahead.
I was going to say, I do have one thing to say about Governor Mills.
One thing.
Well, many things, but one thing that I think you may find interesting. After 13 months of trying to shoo us out of the courtroom, or her attorney trying to shoo us out of the courtroom.
Yes.
At the end of this last session, she wrote 2 letters to the legislature that, Michelle or I could have written, where she was, when the legislature was sitting there going, well, we can't finish in time. We may need to go overtime. We may need a special session.
Right.
Uh-huh.
And Governor Mills heard that and dashed off a letter that she sent to the legislature as a whole. I am not bringing you back in a special session.
Do your job.
Do your job on time.
Right.
Do your jobs.
Right.
Yeah. Well said,
And
Janet.
then-
Thank you, Janet. Good job.
When they were talking about using veto day, which is after the statutory adjournment date, but it's just the last day that they're normally in session so they can handle vetoes. When there was talk about using that to pass bills, which Senate President Jackson did do and sent them on over to the governor's office, she also came down flat and said, no,
Right.
I am not accepting any bills that were passed after this date, because it would set a bad precedent.
Yes.
It would invite people to sue, and it was just like, wow.
There was an impact.
Yep.
For sure.
So
our tax dollars hard at work. I have said many times, we the people are responsible for this mess. It's a painful reality, but it's true. We the people are apathetic. We're ignorant. We let them do this. We let them get reelected. We let them own the elections with massive bribes. They've just literally on the mainstream media bragged about Camilla raising millions and millions and millions of dollars. We literally watch them taking bribes and getting elected and reelected endlessly. We the people have created this mess. I hate it when people say, I don't vote. I'm apolitical. You live here. Okay. If you don't want to live here, move to China, move to North Korea, move out. Okay. If you want to be an American, you need to get involved. Every veteran, every person who's paid in blood the price to be an American, every person who's come here legally and followed our many rules to be a legal and lawful American citizen, we disrespect them if we don't get involved. You can't sit on the bench. Get up, get involved, support the causes that are worthy of your support. Okay, I support Michelle and now William. I just met him literally on this call, but I totally support him as well. I've supported Michelle since day one. I support everyone in Maine, all constitutional Americans. You know, if we get involved with everything that's going on with our so-called government, we can rein them in and hold them accountable and demand accountability and transparency here in Maine and every other state. They say as Maine goes, so goes the nation. Well, by God, I will live and die here in Maine trying to make this happen. I know Michelle will, and I know William will, even though I just met him. I'm very confident in his commitment, and I'm extremely grateful to him and all my allies in Maine and nationwide. We can take back our republic. We can. We need to get involved, wake up, do whatever you can, and locally, citywide, countywide, statewide, nationally, and we will absolutely live to see our republic restored. I'm wildly optimistic, and yet here I am. I'm going to be logging off soon. Thank you so much to you, Michelle, and you, William. You've been amazing guests and presented some really compelling truth here in Maine, which can transmit nationwide. All of our viewers, we have so many comments. I literally have not been able to keep up with them. And I thank all of you out there who have taken the moment, the time to comment. And there's so much I could put up here, but I don't even have time. I'm eternally grateful to you all. God bless you. God bless America in this dark time. You will hear more from me soon. I know you will hear from Michelle and William soon. I am Dana, the Angry Citizen, broadcasting to you from Brewer, Maine. God bless you all. God bless America. Let's work together and let's take back our republic. So, Michelle, William, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Have a great night.
Thank you. I do now as a result of you and all our viewers. God bless America.